Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 4, Hippias Minor 363c to 364b. Socrates has just told Eudicus that he would like to ask Hippias who he thinks is better, Odysseus or Achilles. The question is no longer which hero Homer made better, but which hero Hippias himself thinks is better. The distinction is just blurred because they carry on talking about Homer. Even in this question, Socrates carries on, «Epede kai alla polla kai pantodopahe min epidedektai kai peripoeton te alon kai peri Homeru». Since both many other things and varied things have been exhibited to us, both about other poets and about Homer. In other words, especially about Homer. In this way, Socrates explains why his questions about Homer, but incidentally, he provides more information about the exhibition that Hippias gave many samples from different poets. I should say that epidexis has the same deg root that we've seen in degma. Epidexis is the showing of things, and the degma is the thing shown. So exhibition is an exhibition of samples. These degmata are products of poets, while the characters are degmata of paradegmata, minimalist constructs of aspects of an idea. Hippias probably showed his versatility in the exhibition both by performing various types of poetry and interpreting it. Socrates was still talking to Eudicus, so it's Eudicus who replies. Alla delon, hoti uftonese Hippias, anti auton erotas apokrinestai. Eigaro Hippia, anti erotas Socrates apokrine, pos poieses. It's clear that Hippias won't begrudge answering you if you ask him something. Isn't that right, Hippias? If Socrates asks you something, you'll reply, or how will you act? Note the way Eudicus gets people to do things. He gives them two options, like with Socrates, he asked him why he was silent, and why doesn't he praise or refute, but he actually wanted him to refute. And now he gives Hippias an option. What you won't begrudge answering, or what will you do? We may already guess that Hippias will have to commit himself to answering to Socrates, and this is probably what Socrates was aiming at in the first place. Instead of asking Hippias questions directly, he waited until he could get Eudicus to require Hippias to answer him, and now Hippias is stuck. But Hippias sees this as an opportunity to show off another of his talents, and incidentally, much, much more. Kaigar ande napoioien o Eudike, Olympiads men estenton Helenon panegurin, hotanta Olympiae, epanion oikothenex elidos esto hieron parejo emauton kai legon taoti antis puletai honan moies epidex in parescivas menone kai apokrinomenon to bulomeno hoti antis erota nunde ten Socratus erotes in fugoimi. Hippias really begins by saying yes, because the whole answer is an explanation for saying yes. He really begins with for I would do strange things. In other words, I would behave strangely, Eudicus, if whenever I go up to Olympia, to the assembly of the Greeks, whenever there are the Olympics, from my home, from Elis, to the temple, I present myself both speaking whatever anyone wishes of the things which I have prepared for exhibition, and answering anyone who wishes whatever one asks. But now I would flee the questioning of Socrates. It's interesting that Socrates had suggested that he would ask Hippias for further information, and yet Hippias treats Socrates' questioning as something bad, something to be avoided, something that Hippias himself wouldn't do. It would be very strange for him to avoid this questioning, given that he presents himself at the greatest of the festivities of the Greeks in Olympia every 4 years, and offers himself for questioning on any subject whatsoever. His ability to answer any question is a talent which Hippias shows off in Olympia, and we can understand that Hippias is prepared to show it off here as well. When I say show off, I mean he's prepared to advertise that he can teach this. So the conversation with Socrates will be a display of Hippias's ability to answer any question. And Hippias, being the ultimate expert, has tied himself to not flee from Socrates' questioning. This is probably what Socrates was aiming at when he waited for Eudicus to ask him to cross-examine Hippias. Hippias gives us some extra information in his first response. First of all, we find out that he's from Elis, which is a city just to the north of Olympia in the Peloponnese. It's Dorian, just like Sparta. Perhaps more importantly, we find that he has prepared material for exhibiting. So we see that he is as versatile as one can possibly be. He has prepared material and he can also ad-lib. We may understand that in the exhibition just now, before this dialogue, Hippias gave samples of his prepared material, and now he can exploit the conversation to exhibit his ability to speak off the cuff. Hippias's first response is impressive. So Socrates replies as if impressed. Makarion geo hippia pathos peponthas, hekastes Olympiados hutos euelpis on, perites psyches es Sophian afficnees to hieron. Kai thaumasaim an etiston peritos homa athleton hutos aphobos te kaipis Eudicos echon to someti ergetai autose agoniumenos, hospersufes te dianoia. A blessed pathos has happened to you, O Hippias. A pathos is something that happens, and this is something that's happened to Hippias, and it's a blessed thing. So Socrates is saying that Hippias is very fortunate, bordering on divine. If during each Olympic festival, being so confident about the soul with regard to expertise, you arrive at the temple. This is the temple of Zeus in Olympia, where Hippias said that that's where he goes to exhibit himself. I would be amazed if any of the athletes about the body come there to compete, being so fearless and confident about the body as you say you are about your dianoia. We can translate dianoia as intelligence. An athlon is a prize, and an athletes is someone who competes for a prize. And it's interesting that Socrates is comparing Hippias with athletes. Athletes actually compete for prizes. Hippias didn't say that he was competing. It turns out that Socrates isn't forcing the comparison. Hippias in his reply says, "Ekotos o Socrates, ego tuto pepontha, ex hugar ergamai Olympias in agonidzes thai, udani popote cretoni es uden emautu enetuchon." I have received this, so it seems. In other words, I do seem to be blessed, Socrates, for ever since I began competing in the Olympics, I have never encountered anyone ever who is better than I am at anything. This is quite a claim, but the most important thing is that Hippias uses the same word which Socrates used before, the verb agonizesthai, to compete. So Hippias does accept that he competes in the Olympics. Socrates responds as if impressed, but it may also be taken as a statement of fact. Kalon geleges o Hippia, kaite eleon pole tes Sophias anathema ten doxan enai ten sen, kaitois gonusintois sois. You say, Hippias, that your reputation is a fine ornament of expertise, both to the city of the Eleans and to your parents. All the expertise of Hippias boils down to a matter of reputation. I've translated doxa here as reputation. Doxa is what seems. Doxa, something which seems to me, is my opinion, and doxa of me as it appears to others is reputation, how I appear to others. What I've translated as ornament, the anathema, is something set up, usually something like a statue in a temple, and this refers to Hippias going to the temple of Zeus in Olympia, where he puts on a show and people are impressed, and this reflects well on his parents and on Elis. Socrates mentions both Hippias' parents and the citizens of Elis to echo Hippias' statement that he comes to the temple of Zeus in Olympia from home, from Elis, two distinct things. This is a small instance of Socrates reformulating what he hears from his interlocutor. Socrates has finally set up the conversation the way he wants it, with Eudicus and the other aristocrats, and Hippias all understanding that the conversation will be a competition, and Hippias is displaying his ability to answer any question whatsoever, but in the form of a competition. Why does Socrates want this? We'll have to wait until next time when we finally get round to the question, who's better, Achilles or Odysseus?